situated? Do we have somebody coming in the back door? Do I need to wait on you guys, 9? I can wait a half a second. You just give me the thumbs up. We okay? Mic check. You guys need a mic check? 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2. Check, check, check. Mic check. 3, 2, 3, 2. Good? Yeah. Everybody good? Tina, you okay? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good morning. Apologies. We had some technical issues that we were addressing. It looks like they've been addressed several weeks back, almost a month back. We talked a little bit about our intentions of launching what we call a safe exchange program here in our area, in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. It will involve identifying locations that will allow people in our community to have an area that's a safe area, a safer area, to conduct transactions involving things they're selling, things they're buying from these online applications like LetGo, OfferUp, Craigslist, and the like. Really wanted to go ahead and get out in front of that and try to offer some safer alternatives than what some of our community members have been resorted to doing traditionally. I talked with our robbery guys. Approximately 40 people so far this year have been involved in some type of robbery in these online application transactions. 40 people. And we're not foolish enough to believe that that's not underreported. It's probably more than that. You know, there's some stigma that comes along with it, some embarrassment that comes along with it. So we suspect that that number is probably even higher than 40. Have to do something, right? Have to do something as a city, have to do something as a community, and we've taken the first steps in what we hope to will be just many steps to make this a safer kind of endeavor for community members. In just a couple of moments, I'm going to introduce Brian Sharp. A lot of you know Brian. He's with our robbery unit. Brian's going to talk about the program, what we've been able to do to identify a partner in the private sector that will allow us to get these safe exchange programs off and running. He's also going to talk in pretty good detail about some best practices that community members can engage in when they do find themselves with the opportunity to go ahead and make these online application transactions. When Brian's through, we're going to go ahead and put a face to this whole thing, a face that I'm sure a number of you are quite familiar with. It dates back to sometime in the spring where a young man tragically lost his life when he was brutally murdered here in our community while he was attempting to buy a cell phone. Without further delay, Brian Sharp, and we will allow things to develop after Sergeant Sharp puts this information out. Brian?
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Obviously, we consider this a very, very sensitive but important issue. Again, we have what we've done. Our Community Services Bureau has done is partnered with Quick Trip, better known as QT, to offer a public meeting place to safely exchange previously agreed upon items through social media websites. Our effort is to reduce thefts, robberies, and violent crimes that are sometimes associated with these social media websites. As Rob said, we've experienced about 40 of these robberies a year. And again, that's just an approximate number, very difficult to track. But when you look at it as one a week, you say, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. So we certainly, it's something we take very serious, and we want to obviously talk about, these people are there, innocent people are there just to sell something or buy something. And these are often, well, almost always cash transactions. So there's always cash there. They're often and almost always done by strangers. You don't know this person, you've spoken to them through a social media website, and we all know so what's going on with social media and how it can be used for bad. So these QT locations throughout the city will have 2 designated parking spots that will be painted in red. They'll be video surveilled 24/7, and the police officers working those areas will have a high degree of awareness about these locations, and certainly will be checking them, what we call zone checking them, patrolling them frequently. This will, again, help reduce the number of thefts and other robberies, violent crimes associated with these unfortunate incidences. But now, again, this is not a cure-all. Nothing is 100%. We all know that. So there are some things you can do to ensure your own safety. And again, still not a cure-all. I could sit here and talk to you for hours about things we could do to make ourselves safer at home while we're out, and nothing is 100%. But some of the things we came up with, us, the robbery detectives, as we look through these cases, and are, make sure the transaction's daytime. Daytime's always better. A public location, a crowded location. Know the location. Don't just say, okay, I'll meet you at this address. Know the location. I mean, there's Google Maps now. You can look at the location without even going by there. Arrive early. Make sure there's more than one way in and out. We've seen in some places where people have met people at dead-end streets. That's just not, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't advise doing that for anybody. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. If someone's selling you a brand new iPhone 8 for $200, they really want you to get there. Something's wrong. Maybe something's wrong with the phone, or maybe they're just going to rob you. I don't know. If it feels wrong, it probably is wrong. I think we all know that. Our gut feeling says a lot. Never go alone. Always take your phone with you, your personal phone. And if something does, God forbid, happen, please just cooperate. Most of the time, they want your money, they want your belongings. I wouldn't advise going anywhere with anybody, but I would certainly cooperate and give them your belongings. It's not worth it. If you have to go alone, always let somebody know when, where, why, and how, and call the police immediately if something, God forbid, does happen to you. But, that's all we, just, again, some tips, and we hope to make things a little safer for everybody.
I want to take a couple questions for Sergeant Shaw before we shift gears somewhat. Tina, did you have something?
Sergeant,
Colleen?
you said, just as you said, it's not the end-all remedy, right? So,
ma'am.
taking into consideration the Finch case, couldn't that still happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does this prevent robberies, et cetera?
Well, I think when people want to do bad things, they don't want to be seen doing bad things. They want to bring you to a place where they're comfortable. Remember that. They may change the location on you. Never allow anybody to change the location on you. If you've agreed upon a place and they change the location, cancel the sale. It's that simple. They don't want to be seen doing things in a public, crowded area. I would say there's a high degree of probability if they're going to do something bad, they're not going to meet you. They're just not going to meet you in a public, crowded area. Does it happen? It does. Absolutely. It does. It's not an end-all, cure-all. But, the goal here is to prevent as many as we possibly can, if not all of them.
So, Sergeant, would you say there's been like an increasing trend in the numbers of robberies because of these apps or, websites?
Well, I think that as the number of apps and websites go up, certainly the number of robberies and sometimes it's just a theft. Sometimes the phone gets snatched out of somebody's hand, or sometimes the item just gets snatched out of their hand and they run. It's just a theft. And we didn't count those. We just counted robberies. Certainly as there's more apps out there, at one time it was just Facebook. People were exchanging things. Now it's, Let Go and all these other apps out there. And I'm not against these apps at all. I just think you have to be safe when you use them. It's like anything else. You just have to be safe when you use it.
What led to the choice of Quick Trip as the partner?
I don't know that particular answer, honestly. You probably can get that from our community services.
I can take care of that on the back end. with you, Jane, either offline or if anybody else has.
Probably how busy it is. If you've ever tried to get gas, they're pretty busy locations.
Will it be all Quick Trips?
It's 14 different, I can slide in here, but I just have got a couple of eyes for you, sharpen it up. Quick Trips, we were impressed with Quick Trips after having lengthy negotiations. When I say lengthy, this has been a 2-month process, and I'm not exaggerating, literally a 2-month process. And what impressed us a lot about Quick Trips was the opportunity to have 14 different locations that are strategic around our response areas in the city. So there's a lot of Quick Trips. They're abundant, and thankfully, there's one in every single one of our patrol divisions. So that's really what sold us on Quick Trips. But I don't want to stop there. This isn't going to be a one-off with Quick Trip. We're also working to identify other private sector partners that will help us along in this endeavor. And while I've got this platform, I'd like to take that opportunity to invite them to have some conversations with us about how they too can become part of this program. Did you have something, Colleen? Did that answer your question on the locations, 14? And we can get those locations to you. And while I'm at it, just to dovetail off that, I know that some signage is currently being worked up right now, and I'll leave this for everyone. You don't have to roll on it now. We'll go ahead and leave it behind. We have about another week or so until these are finalized and those parking spots are painted. So we have about a week until this thing actually goes live. We just thought it was responsible, though, to put this out there, let the community know what's coming, let them know what the addresses are, and what we'll do is we'll follow up in the future when it is the date that it does go live with a media advisory, or have someone available to talk through that for you guys.
They all have cameras and
Yeah,
things like
they're monitored 24/7, and it's my loose understanding of the way the program works. There's going to be 2 parking spots that are going to be set aside, painted as safe exchange program areas. They'll be under 24-hour video surveillance. Officers who are responsible for that zone or those respective zones will do periodic zone checks to check in, try to have some presence out there. But I do also want to piggyback a little bit off of what Sergeant Sharp said. Look, this isn't a be-all, end-all. Nothing is 100% safe, right? This is just another layer of protection that we're offering our community. I think it would be wise for our community members to take advantage of this, but also wise to heed some of the important advice, the sage advice that Sergeant Sharp had there, and exercise some of those best practices and do the best you can to protect yourself. So that's the long and the short of it, and we're excited about it. We really hope that this is going to make a difference. Again, 40 people, just this year alone, and we think that that's underreported. We'd like to think this is going to make a difference. Colleen, you had something?
Yeah, just a quick question. Just in envisioning the program, will there be a component where, like, say somebody's scheduling a transaction, they can call a line and say, hey, I'm going to come at this spot?
No, this won't be monitored by.
Right.
Right. No, and that's a very good question, and I don't want to put any unreasonable expectations out there that when you do conduct one of these transactions at one of these Quick Trips, one of these 14 locations, that there's going to be a police officer who's going to referee this. That's going to be the go-between, and I ordered an iPhone 6 and you're bringing me a 7 and I said 300, use it. But that's not our role here. We are merely offering an opportunity for them to have a safer location to conduct these transactions that are under video surveillance, and the opportunity to have our people zone check those locations. And I'm glad you asked that. We don't want to set any kind of unreasonable expectations to community members.
The cameras there will be like gas station surveillance cameras, right? It's not.
It's not a CMPD camera. No, it'll be property of the Quick Trip, 24-hour surveillance, and those cameras are recording. Who else? Okay. All right. So, pardon me. I don't mean to step out of frame here, but we are shifting gears and shifting in an important direction. Little optics on the front end. We talked a little bit about numbers coming in, right? We talked about 40 people, probably more this year, and to some, those are numbers. To others, those are people, right? I've got a family out in the hallway who we've been working with for the last month or so that their lives are turned upside down, right? I know a lot of you probably know Tara Finch. I know all of you who cover the market remember June 18th over on Farmer Street when 21-year-old Zach Finch was murdered when he was trying to purchase a cell phone from a Let Go online application. Broad daylight. I think it was Father's Day, if I'm not mistaken. Broad daylight. 3 young men, cowardly took this guy's life. A 21-year-old guy, youngest of 3, so much promise. I mean, and you're going to hear it from his mom. I mean, this kid was just an impressive kid, right? Senseless. Now, thankfully, we've got the 3 of them in custody, and they're no longer out there in the street now with the opportunity to prey on other members of our community. But do you think that helps the Finch family, right? These aren't statistics, guys. These are people. Zach Finch was a person, somebody's son, and their lives are going to be changed forever by it. Tara Finch, who I've been working with a little bit over the last week, we've had some really heart-to-heart conversations. I mean, I feel for this woman. How this community doesn't feel for this woman's beyond me. I want to invite her up to the lectern, talk a little bit, go beyond the statistics, talk about the people side of this and just how lives are changed because of this issues. If she, no one could say it better than Tara does, and I just really hope that you give her your undivided attention. Tara Finch.
Hi. One of the most important things that he said that we want people to know is that Zach wasn't a statistic. He's not murder number 43 or whatever it was in Charlotte. And Zachary did everything right. It was the middle of the day. It was 1:30 in the afternoon on Father's Day at a public park. Zachary was just trusting, and he trusted the wrong people. And he was robbed of so much more than just money that day. He was robbed of being engaged in December and of graduating from college in May and of having the babies that he wanted to have and of doing good for other people. You know, I know people say when their loved one is gone that, oh, they were such a good kid, but you know what? He was a beautiful soul, and not because he was my son. He was a better person than me. He was giving and caring, and he would give you the shirt off his back, literally. And if he saw these 3 young men in the street and they needed help, Zach would have been the first one to pull over and help them. And they've robbed more than one life. They robbed all of our lives. We're broken. Our family is broken. Our community is broken. My community back home in Florida, where we're from, is broken. The Little League team he was coaching, to look at 9-year-old, 10-year-old kids standing at a funeral as their coach is being spoke about at a service this summer, was awful. His Kentucky team, where he played in college, was broken. His high school team back in Florida, broken. You know, he worked really hard. He was on a full academic scholarship. He volunteered in his home community, in the community of Williamsburg, Kentucky, where he went to school. And nothing can bring him back. He would want something positive to come out of this. It's not positive for me because he'll never come home. But it's positive for him. Zach was all about helping people, so if this safe exchange zone helps other people, Zach will be smiling down on us, I'm sure. But be careful, even at a zone like that, there are evil, vile people in this world. And they don't care. They didn't care about Zachary. They didn't care about his family. You know, we'll be forever changed. And I just hope that, you know, people make good choices. Zach tried to do everything right, but the reality is that there are people out there who prey upon trusting innocent people. So just be careful and know what your kids are doing. You know, if you have 15, 17, 16-year-old kids, make sure you know what they're doing, who they're hanging out with, and because someone has to be held responsible for all of this. So we appreciate CMPD has been incredible. They have been awesome. The DA's office has been working with us, and we're very appreciative. But in the end, you know, we won't win anything because Zach doesn't get to come back. So, and thank you, Mr. Tufano, for all of this.
We're happy to help and do whatever we can to couple of questions
Sure.
from the press. Any questions for Ms. Finch? Tina?
I know that it's been a rough time for you and your family, and you guys have graciously talked to us and just helped inform the public in the past. Is there anything going on with the family that you want to just update us on, as far as, I know you were working with your pastors? It sounded like you guys were working on some sort of scholarships or something along those lines with Zach's name attached to it. Is that the
Yeah, we
case?
want to have a scholarship put together for other kids who work as hard as Zachary did. Like I said, he was on full academic scholarship at school, and he played baseball, which was his dream, and he won't get to finish his senior season, so we want to, try to do something in his name. And the town of Williamsburg has put together an exchange zone in his name also, like this, where he went to school.
He would have graduated
In this May, with a double major, yeah. Go.
We good, guys? All right, I know you've got placards here. You're more than welcome to go ahead and shoot those. I also have just a multitude of images that I could send to you electronically of Zach, if you really want to put a face to this thing. This is Zach's sister, Hannah, too. This is older sister, Hannah. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to say, Hannah. I don't want to put you on the spot, but just to let you know, who's in the room and why
They're
so.
best friends. They're only 18 months apart, and she actually flew in this morning from Colorado. She's doing an internship there. She's trying to move forward and make her brother proud, but it's hard. It's really hard for her.
I know you guys weren't here. You were both gone when that first arrest was made.
Yeah, I was taking her back to Colorado.
Yeah, I remember that. Did you want to comment on that? I mean, these guys worked hard to make those arrests. Anything you want to say about?
They're incredible, and for them, Detective Rooks and Sergeant Manasseh, to come up with this third arrest so many months after the fact lets me know that they don't stop, and we're so appreciative, because I don't want anyone to get away with this, and I want people who think about doing something like this. You won't get away with this. You won't. CMPD has been incredible to us. Incredible. So, but, yeah, she flew in this morning.
All right, well, we appreciate that. Appreciate your turnout. I know how
Thank you.
tough things were and
Thank you.
are, and we're going to keep following up. Do you want to leave these here? Do you want us to, I can get this to them electronically too from what you sent me. Would that be easier for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and do that, guys, if you're okay, because I suspect that they have other business to attend to as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will, some of us will dry our eyes a little bit. Promise to keep you updated on all of the developments when it comes to the program. Again, I still think we're about a week away in earnest before we actually hit the ground and officially launch this and it goes live, and we'll go ahead and put an advisory out on that, as well as all the locations, all 14 locations, so our community members know exactly where it is that they can go. So appreciate that, and we just wanted to close that loop and let you know that, it was a little bit of a process getting this thing coordinated, but it looks like some of the final touches have been put in play. So, switching gears somewhat, a lot of you know John Frisk. He's an officer with our crime prevention unit. John handles most things related to crime prevention, and with Halloween looming Tuesday of this upcoming Tuesday, we thought it was a little bit more than appropriate to have John come up and speak a little bit about best practices, some safety tips. We know there's going to be a lot of young people out and about in our communities, and we want to do our best, our level best as a department and as a community to go ahead and keep them safe. So John's just here to talk about some of those best practices, maybe answer a couple of questions for you guys. All right, John Frisk.
Morning. As Rob said, I'm the crime prevention officer. I've done stories, I think, with most of y'all, some active shooter things that y'all watch. Obviously Tuesday, Halloween, it's right around the corner. It's supposed to be a fun, exciting time, for the kids and the family. But naturally, obviously, it's an opportunity for some people to, commit crimes, trying to prey on young children. So I'm going to provide some good safety tips that we're going to put out there. And then naturally, if you guys have any questions, certainly ask. Any children naturally going out to, get candy for Halloween, we want you to be with a parent, a guardian, someone over the age of 21. That's very important. Another very important tip, a lot of people really don't think of this one, is take a piece of paper, put the kid's name on it, put a telephone number and put an address, and put that in their pocket. Think about this. If they are lost, that's in their pocket. Someone finds them, now they can get them back home, or give the parent or guardian a phone call. Always and only go to houses or apartments that have their light on. Okay, don't ever enter inside of an apartment or a house. Always stay on the outside of the premises. Naturally, we want the parents or guardian to check the candy. Okay, any unwrapped candy or any type of fruit. Okay, for that sake, we don't want the children to eat anything like that. Okay, when they're out there walking, naturally we know it's going to be dark out. Something reflective, possibly even carrying a flashlight. Okay, we want people to stay on the sidewalks, not to be on the road. But naturally, if you have to cross the road, go to a safe area and have a guardian with you to cross the road to get across the street. Take some questions.
Oh, you guys are easy this morning.
And I know we had talked about this, so I'll go ahead and bring it up. If the sex offenders, okay, the sheriff's department, they will be monitoring sex offenders. Naturally, if they ask for our assistance, just like any other agency, state, federal agency, we will be there to assist them. Okay, so that will be handled by the sheriff's department, naturally.
All right, Officer Frisk, we thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.
Figured we'd go ahead and get out in front of that before you start blowing up our phones on Monday. And hopefully there's some usable stuff, material there that you'll find relevant. Your viewers, listeners, readers will find relevant as well. So what do we have looming? Anything looming before we call it a morning?
Can I ask you about Mahmoud Bhatti? Were you able to interview him again yesterday? Did he confess? Anything pertaining to a motive come out of that?
Yeah, that would all speak directly to the active investigation, and that's something our detectives in homicide are working through now, and I'm going to keep that close to the vest. I'm sorry, Colleen?
Do you anticipate sending out any updates on the Amity Court shooting, any of the victims, anything?
Not at this point. I know there was some question yesterday regarding that. I don't think there's any additional information that we're ready to release at this point. Was there a specific question you had about it?
Well, I haven't seen an email. I don't know if it came out with the victim's ID or anything, so nothing on that yet.
Just looking for the victim's identification in the case. As long as a next of kin has been notified, I would suspect that would be something that will be coming in the short order, Colleen.
Any response to President Trump's declaration of a public health crisis with the opioid situation? Just nationally, is there freeing up resources? Will that help in any way, or can you address the general reaction to that?
As well as I like to consider myself plugged in, I didn't see the president's remarks concerning the opioid epidemic, and I think that's a fair characterization. I don't think it's just on a national front. We're also seeing, our share of it here locally. All of our first responders, medic and fire and police, and a travesty. It really is. Young lives that are being destroyed by this scourge. We as a police department, it's frustrating. Frustrating to go ahead and know that there's very little that we can do to get out in front. Absent of enforcement, which our vice and narcotics folks do pretty well. Better than most, I would say. I mean, that's pretty much the extent of what I have to say on that.
Something that can be done.
Yeah, I mean, police, and, you know, as a community, I think that, you know, things need to be done. And it's also important, it's not a one-size-fits-all, right? You have the enforcement end of it, and that's the stick, but, you know, there's also the carrot, right? There are so many resources out there available, ample resources, there's an abundance of resources available for people who want to get into treatment, and arguably there'll probably never be enough, but it's something that certainly people should, who are afflicted with this terrible this terrible addiction need to look into, that there is help out there. And I think at the end of the day, that's the message that we want to get across.
Hey, Rob. There's a police report you guys released yesterday about this guy that chased down this suspect for you guys in the breaking into cars, and he chased him all across his neighborhood and brought him back to you guys. Can you talk a little about that as far as, I mean, you guys obviously like to see that, but isn't there some danger involved in that as well?
Yeah, you know, what we're, you know, at the risk of sounding cliche, it almost becomes white noise now, right? To see something, say something, we need you to be our eyes, we need you to be our ears, we need your mouths, more importantly, right? We need you to speak up when you see something or something doesn't sound right. I do want to draw the line, though, and say that we would never, ever, ever endorse or recommend that people take matters into their own hands like that. Thankfully, this one worked out okay, and we are just eternally grateful that we were able to get some bad people off the street as a result of this, but that's not anything we'd ever want to encourage. Sure, it was just a larceny from auto, right? It was a property crime. You don't know this person is armed. You don't know what their intentions are. You don't know what they're capable of. So our recommendation is be a good witness, try to get a location, a good clothing description, a direction to travel, call 911, let us come out there, let us run it down, let us determine what the situation is, and if need be, let us go ahead and apprehend this person.
It's kind of encouraging people to get involved, though. I mean, this way you have a community involvement support for you guys.
Oh, community involvement's critical, right? I mean, I'd love to have the opportunity to say that the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department's got the ability to put a police officer in everybody's driveway to make sure that your car isn't broken into. You know, that's just an unreasonable expectation. That's never going to happen. So we have to rely heavily on those people who live, work, and play in those neighborhoods to be mindful, to have a keen eye, right? To be community-minded enough to go ahead and pick up the phone and call 911 when something doesn't look or sound right. That's something we always want to encourage, man. Absolutely.
Hey, Rob, going back to the Mahmoud case, can you explain, so he's been charged with murder for the mother and the unborn child, but the homicide count is just one person.
Yeah, and I think...
Can you explain why that is?
Yeah, I think Chris, and I wasn't here for yesterday's briefing, I think Captain Dozier kind of nibbled around the edges of that a little bit yesterday. I don't want to guess. I have a pretty good gumption of what's at play there, but I'll be more than happy to work with you offline and get you up with homicide to get you a clinical, legal, official explanation as to what the situation is there. Who else? All right, anyone interested in those images of Zach? I know that there's been one that's been circulating around for, you know, since June with him in his baseball cap. We've got a bevy of additional images. Just go ahead and send us an email to CMPD PIO. We'll go ahead and get that back. You had something else, Colleen.
He was just, I don't know what he said. What did he say?
Just keep going.
Are we okay? You can talk to me offline. Steve Rogers.
Can you send us the artwork for the signage there so we can use it in some graphic statements?
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'll let you
absolutely.
discuss that.
Yeah, I can get that. I'll get that to you electronically. You bet. Yep. We good? Yeah.
How quickly can you guys send us the addresses for the cuties? I just need one for.
Live shot? Yeah, 10 minutes. Get that to you in 10 minutes. Does that work? All right, guys. Appreciate the turnout this morning.
Just a minute.